Hey everybody, how you doing? Earlier today, Friday, March 19th, Tony Buzbee or Anthony Buzbee, the managing director of the Buzbee law firm and a noted super lawyer who has taken up the matter of suing Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson on allegations of sexual assault, gave a press conference that lasted approximately 13 minutes long. In that, Buzbee announced that he planned to file lawsuits representing 22 women and that they already filed 7. Now, those of you who regularly follow oaklandnewsnow.com and Zenny62 YouTube here know that I have had some serious problems with the kind of lawyer that Tony Buzbee is, when I say that from the perspective of how he chooses to practice law. Now, one aspect of his business style is such that it has made him a very wealthy person. But that same style has also ran him afoul of accusations of producing false clients on more than one occasion. He has a problem, Mr. Buzbee does, just sticking to the absolute facts, even if those facts don't fit the objectives he's trying to achieve. In the press conference he produced today, and I have to apologize, but I'm taking a momentary aside to say that I am seeing red over his approach, and I'll explain why further. But back to my point. In the press conference, he spent, through an aide that was there, wearing a white suit, just over 6 minutes, or half the press conference, having the aide read the salacious details of a nature that you would not want your kids to hear if the television happened to be on. All right, seriously. And this was during the day, it wasn't at night, of the lawsuit filings that were made. And then Mr. Buzbee says that he has personally vetted at least, I believe, 6 of the clients. But then he says he has 22. And then he doesn't explain what personally vet means. He says he's personally met with them. Now, that flies in the face of the practice that I'm used to via my friend Gloria Allred, who's filing a case against the famed actor Armie Hammond currently, and I've interviewed many times since 2010 at the Night of Wonder and Stars Oscar party. Why? Because Gloria would establish the practice of bringing in a client of hers that was involved in a lawsuit against someone before the press that was at the Night of Wonder and Stars Oscar party. So you saw who that person was. It didn't matter if it was, for example, Beverly Johnson, who had a case against Bill Cosby, or the young lady who was for 13 years a mistress of the now late Herman Cain, or the other woman who had filed a complaint against General Petraeus. The list goes on and on and on. In each and every case, including this week, Gloria Allred has had the practice of bringing her client before public view. No Jane Does. So no one could say, oh, the person doesn't exist. Okay? However, and by stark contrast, Mr. Buzbee has been the focus of at least one claim in the case where he brought in clients that were actually fake names, such that some of the clients, not all of them, but of the list, there were names that were such that when you actually contacted the people who were said to have been involved, They said they never even heard of the case. In other words, they were not clients. This is serious business. Not making this up. This is very serious, publicly written about in magazines, fact, on a number of occasions. And so yet he has the habit of continuing this practice and finding his clients through ways that are identified by the legal profession as sloppy. He did that today when, at about roughly the 10-minute mark, Mr. Buzbee encouraged anyone who may have a complaint to step forward. Now, to a layperson, that may sound like an open invitation to find somebody that actually has a claim. But in legal practice, what it is a scare tactic to have so many people involved that are not vetted that the defendant is basically frightened into a settlement. Remember, this is a civil case. And as Deshaun Watson himself reported, when he was first contacted through his lawyer, Watson was asked to provide a 6-figure settlement. So even though Mr. Buzbee claims this isn't about money, his very actions and the fact that he did not deny what Deshaun Watson reported prove that it is about money. Tony Buzbee has enough money to actually create this case and hope that Deshaun Watson's lawyers don't do what a regular lawyer would do, which is immediately file suit to essentially unlock the Jane Doe aspect of the case and force Buzbee to present actual clients. Right now, there are some people who believe, well, you can't do that because we're talking about women. No, we're not talking about women because you don't know that they're actual clients. Therefore, since you don't know and it's only based on Mr. Buzbee's claim, you can't say you're talking about women. But that's the trap that a number of people fall into. Want more proof of what I'm talking about? And that Mr. Buzbee has a track record of bending ideas so that they look like fact. I'll give you one right now. He said the same press conference that the Houston police had taken an interest, or words to that effect, in the case, and that they wanted to follow up with him. And he had a friend there, and then he said the magic words, or I think he's a friend.
Because the person came in from out of state, have you been contacted?
I will let the authorities deal with that. I won't comment on that.
Have you heard anything from?
No, I haven't.
And how about Harris County Sheriff's Office?
I haven't heard. I've only been reached out to informally by an individual with the Houston Police Department that I'm familiar with. I wouldn't say a friend, but certainly somebody I know. And our intention is to put together a package and to submit it to the police department.
He said that. But that's not why I made the statement that I did, because on Twitter, the Houston police put out this tweet today, 6:47 p.m., March 19th, 2021. Twitter for iPhone, which means someone saw this and immediately got on their iPhone and went to work. And look, this is not fake. This is the actual Houston Police Department, okay? At this time, HPD, that's Houston Police, is unaware of any contact between HPD and Houston attorney Tony Buzbee regarding the allegations contained in his recently filed lawsuits, and no incident reports regarding these allegations have been filed in our jurisdiction. And you know what, folks? It's quite likely that there won't be. This is horrible stuff. And all of this happens to be because, by circumstance, Deshaun Watson put the Houston Texans over a public relations barrel and quite literally had them by the short hairs. demonstrating that he had achieved the status of arguably the most powerful quarterback in the National Football League from a public relations perspective. He embarrassed the Houston Texans by, well, just simply asking to be part of personnel decisions. What's wrong with that? Of wanting some say over who would be his quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, head coach. What's wrong with that? Why not have a committee? Companies around the world and in the United States have some form of employee ownership. It is not unusual. Or employee involvement in management decisions where they are most affected in particular. It is not unusual. What he asked for wasn't unusual. And in the middle of an awakening regarding relations between different breeds of humans, I don't like the other term race because we're all the human race, you would think it would be appropriate for the Texans to respond in a way that is amicable and such that it will form a gantry for the kind of public relations effort that could galvanize the country. The Texans did none of that. And so Tony surfaces with these allegations and then basically goes through the typical grinder that is commonly used for a type of class action lawsuit. That's what he's doing here. In a class action lawsuit, you put out these commercials, flyers, videos, news reports, and say, hey, look, if you have been involved and injured in the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, please contact us at this number. That is what Tony is doing.
But once she made that outcry and once we filed the case, and we agonized over whether we were going to bring the case.
Yeah.
But once we did, a lot of women have come forward, more than 20. And I would expect if women who are watching this now know that you can remain anonymous, know that you have a support system, know that we want to hear your story, I would expect others.
Out of the 22 women that you guys have reached out to or heard from, have any filed police reports prior to the civil suit being filed?
Not that I'm aware of, no. And that's going to be our next step.
You mentioned that.
And why do I use the example of the British Petroleum Deepwater Horizon oil accident? Because Tony was one of the plaintiff's lawyers that filed a lawsuit against it and realized a reported $100 million judgment. The settlement was later said to have been whittled down to $500,000. They said they settled out of court in secret. In the middle of this video, I just got a call from my friend Killian, who's a noted lawyer in Oakland, and he said to me he's followed the Deshaun Watson case from what he read in the papers, but just based on what he's known and what I talked to him about, he said that, and what he knows about Texas law, he said that the kind of lawsuit that Tony Buzbee is filing wouldn't fly in California as a Jane Doe case. And he said something else that was very suspicious. He said that if you and I and he are in a car accident, and let's say that we're hit by a truck, and we file suit against the 18-wheel truck driver in the company, well, we're filing suit as 3 people, but it's 1 lawsuit. He says it's very suspicious, and he knows why Tony is doing this, to file not 1, not 2, not 3, but 7 different lawsuits, which would eventually be 22 different ones. He said it's a scare tactic. It's a PR stunt. It's a hit piece. He said the press conference that Tony Buzbee did today, Killian said this, was nothing more than a hit piece. And he said it's something that a person can do in Texas legal hillbilly land, where they allow you to get away with crap like that. Although he didn't use the term crap. Okay? So I said, well, isn't the best answer just to simply file a countersuit and get them to, mention the Jane Does? And Clinton said, you don't have to, because you just wait for just force the deposition, wait for the deposition. It'll all come out in the depositions. That's what he was saying. So, again, there's more proof that what Tony Buzbee is doing is essentially smearing Deshaun Watson's name, or as Clinton put it, he said he says, you want to know what it really looks like to me, Zenny? It looks like the Texans are saying, look, inward, you can't get the upper hand on us. We're going to make you behave, boy, and we're going to make you stay here. That's a very strong, powerful, real, sad statement on the Houston Texans, if indeed that turns out to be the case. And the way this is going, it certainly looks like this. Like it. You have the Houston police. The Houston police on Twitter in black and white say basically, hey, Tony, you're not telling the truth. And they're putting their name behind it. That tells you everything you need to know about how bogus this case looks. Okay? And it's designed to make laypersons like yourself say, he got 22 and he did this and he did that, and and again, I'm saying it's got nothing to do with women, all right? Because these clients don't exist. All right? And something else Killian said in terms of what is claimed. The salacious details that Tony and his staff seem to love to, trumpet. Clinton says that if those actions really went on when they did, why weren't the police called? Because those are forcible acts. All right? So this case has a lot of hairs on it, and it's not in the favor of Tony Buzbee. Clinton says that he believes the Texans gave Tony Buzbee money to have this done. This is a sad statement on the Houston Texans already, and unless the lawsuit goes away or is dropped, it's going to get worse. And even if it goes away or is dropped, it could, it'll be just as worse. But right now, it's headed downward. Unbelievable. And it's unbelievably bad that Tony Buzbee would risk his reputation in pursuing a lawsuit in this way. He's done a lot of good for the Houston community and for a lot of people. This isn't one of them. It's quite shameful already. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com.